very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Sanjay Kaul, heading the cardiovascular ultrasound business for GE Healthcare in South Asia. I sincerely hope that you, along with your family, are safe and doing well. The vision of GE Healthcare is to impact lives in the moments that matter. And what moment are more precious than when a patient is seeking care and treatment for his ailing heart? Today, I'm excited to be standing in front of you to launch the most advanced Vivid systems till date, the Ultra Edition, which is powered by artificial intelligence and elevated by you. Over a period of time, we would like to take you through series of clinical modules from eminent clinicians from South Asia. Today, I would like to welcome Dr. Naman Shastri, Chief Consultant, Cardiac Anesthesiologist and Intensivist at Epic Hospital, Ahmedabad. Dr. Naman has done significant work and research in the field of echocardiography over decades and has many publications to his name. We are really privileged to have him with us. With this, I hand over the session to Dr. Naman Shastri.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Naman Shastri from Epic Hospital, Ahmedabad. I hope everybody is doing good in the unprecedented pandemic. We all are fighting against that. Being vaccinated all, we are hoping that we are not facing much more complications and problems with the deadly COVID-19. What we have gone through the journey of 4D advances, 4D echo advances. Now how the addition, not only the addition, ultra addition means there is a sophisticated software being built into the machine to make our life more easier. We all are very busy practitioners when we do not have a time. How artificial intelligence can help us in reducing the time in our time constraint lifestyle. So the same way AI has also played a significant role in the echocardiography. Now it starts from the basic also, like suppose we are having one case, what we are saying that apparently this case looks, otherwise LV function looks reasonably preserved. You are seeing the little dilated LV. Beyond that, we see everything is nearly the same. So in this case, what we do to measure the left ventricular geometry or M mode, like we just freeze it off, measure the LV analysis, we measure the cut single slide sections to measure the M mode. But instead of that, if with the one single slide, if you can measure the AI based the auto measurements of M mode, then it would be really the great. So what we need to do is just press one button, that is a measure. Then you have the auto means all these things can be measured automatically. Then you just press one auto and you can see that amazingly it measures everything, every data by itself. We have not done anything. And then we can measure here the systolic dimensions, diastolic dimension, interventricular chambers, thickness of the septum, thickness of the posterior wall. Everything is measured by pressing only two buttons. Means one is measure, then press automatic, and what you get it here. Now if you have any doubt, okay, I mean I'm not very comfortable to have this this point proper, I can just go a little down and again rectified it, and then again we get it, I get the different data, and I would say in this case this is the right figure image. Here in this case, now I want to store it. Once I press the button store, then all the data what I am interested to is seen here. You can see here the end systolic volume, you can see here the end diastolic volume, you can see here, and the end diastolic volume is 181 because it was apparently seen that there was definitely a dilated left ventricle, fraction shortening, ejection fraction is 43%. So all these images we can see even in the press of the button. So better you have two important things, have a best 2D images, and second is have a good ECG tracing. These two things can have a direct impact on the measurement and parameters. So here we want to just trace highlight upon more on the right ventricle. So just I press on RV. Once we say it's okay, like you can go to the level. Once we say okay, you can change your widthness by here and by this. The beauty of this machine that it takes consideration of all the 3 layers of the myocardium, not in the one. Now once we leave it alone for 2 seconds, automatically it gives an idea about ourselves that okay, we have accepted it. Now here you can see that there is some artifact, there is some problem here happened. We just check it, okay, it is contracted well in the direction, then we can just go here and press this button and we accepted it, and then we can get these images. So the global strain is -18, normal is again -24. So this indicates that it is definitely reduced, though eventually it is looking very fine on the eyeballing. It is less in the free wall, which should be otherwise 28, -27, 28, which is showing reasonably, significantly low, that is -19. The TAPSE, surprisingly, what is the normal TAPSE? That is falling more than anything more than 17 or 1.7 centimeter, 1.7 centimeters is usually it is right, but it is 2 centimeter. What it indicates, though the basal plane is contractile well, but the myocardium of the free wall is not contractile well. Now from here, if you go down with the AFI-RV, we can go to the AFI-LA. So particularly it should be either ideally measured in the two different imaging. Now here we are selecting a 4-chamber view. You can have a 2-chamber and 4-chamber both. You can go to the 4-chamber view, and then you will expect imaging like this. It has given us an idea, okay, the septal base, yes, we have pressed the septal base, then it is the lateral base, we are pressing the lateral base, and then we are putting it to the roof, and then it gives idea. If you want some correction, you can always do some partial corrections, and then press a button for the process. On the process button, you can see that completely analysis of the strain pattern is seen here. Now they have the number. The S stands for the strain. First is SR, which is known as the reservoir strain. Second is the CD, is a conduit strain, and the third is contractile strain. The reservoir strain is the strain which is an systolic strain, where the left ventricle is keep on getting the blood from the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. Then the CD is a conduit when the mitral valve is opening, and the left atrial works as a conduit. And the third is the contractile, where the atrial is contracts in the diastolic fashion. Again, to measure the ideal strain, what is the level where we measure the cycle? There can be either P2P measurements or R2R measurements. If you have the P2P measurements, that is the level from contractile to contractile phase, you can have the different number as compared to the R2R wave. So usually we are measuring from R2R wave. Now the only limitations of this LS strain is that it has got some load dependency. And we just in 4-chamber view, we just place a Doppler like here, and we have measured the mitral valve inflow velocities, and that's why we have kept the PW at the tip of the mitral leaflets, and then we just press the measure. Automatically it measures the E velocities, deceleration time, deceleration slope, E by A ratio, everything is measured by pressing the one button, that is measure button, and then we just accept it and we just store it. Then we just move forward. We just move forward. We can measure the tissue Doppler. If you put our cursor at the septal base, and then you just press just a measure, it measures the E prime by itself. You can measure, and it automatically gives an idea that it is E prime. The repulsive septum is 0.14 meter per second. Store it. Then you go again go to the lateral plane. In lateral plane, you again press a measure. You have the lateral plane is 0.18 meter per second. Always it is higher than the septal. And then you just press a measure. It gives an idea about the E by E prime, the lateral E by E prime septal. It gives you average E by E prime, and that can gives an idea about the LA pressures or pulmonary capillary wedge pressures. And the formula is saying that E by E prime is a very important indicator for diastolic dysfunction, as well as patient having the high LA pressures. So this can be given by pressing only the one button, that is the measures and the store, because for every time you measure, you have to store it. So next time with your next measurement, it detects the previous store button and it measures the ratio. So very important that you measure and store. Now if you put a cursor to the LVOT mode, then again you just measure, you are measuring, again you are pressing. You can see that aortic wall, once you have, that was a pulse wave Doppler at the LVOT. Now this is a continuous wave Doppler at the aortic wall. In aortic wall, again we did the same thing. We just press it, so automatically it give you an idea about the aortic wall area. And here the aortic wall area is 2.77 centimeters square. So what we did, we have pressed pulse wave, kept the pulse wave at the LVOT, measured it, press a continuous wave in the LV in the aorta, press it, VTI both, just press measure, we get aortic wall area provided we measure LVOT diameter. So these things can give us really completely assessments of the E by the velocity difference between the LVOT velocity to the dimension. That's what we measure dimensionless index. It can also give us idea about dimensionless indexes, like we have the velocity of LVOT, velocity of the aortic wall, across the aortic wall. So these ratio can also be measured, number one. Number two, once we measure the LVOT diameter, we can measure the aortic wall area. So that also again by pressing a couple of button and we get to know what it is. Now patient having a tricuspid regurgitations, we want to measure the pulmonary pressures. We just press a cursor, we put a continuous wave, again press a measure, automatically we can get the PA pressures of about 35-40, like so gradient is 24.7. So again we don't have to trace, we don't have to measure, automatically it indicates at the right plane. So this is how the AI is also useful in the Doppler analysis, and it was also useful on in M mode measurements of the left ventricular chamber. So we are going to see here the AFI of LV. We have seen the AFI of RV, which is the new features of this machine. Just here, by pressing the button measure, we are just going down to the AFI, and once we have the three multi-dimensional images, automatically it measures that okay, this is aplex view. In that aplex view, you can see that a complete endocardial border is nicely detected. This is the posterior, this is the anteroseptal border. We just process it, then automatically once indicated. Sometimes it does not detect some point, so we have to accept it here and just press that button and accept it. Then we go for the next, we approve and select for the next. Again, this is so more really the one which we are looking for in the 4-chamber view. So this is the second. So you wait for 3 seconds or 4 seconds, automatically it consider that you have accepted it. Again you approve and select for the next, and then you are going for the 2-chamber view, and we believe that okay, this is also the same. We may just push it a little bit inside to take up some part of the endocardium, and the rest is same. You can just take it a little bit inside, and then you just accept it, and you can say the process. Once you process, you get a very nice contractility of all images. Now here we are done with all images in say 30-45 seconds, and now we just press the bull's eye move. We want to see how the bull's eye has come up. Now the bull's eye has seen up the non-territorial area affections. Now you can go with the trace images, the traces with the bull's eye imaging, and here you can always have only bull's eye. In only bull's eye, you can again see 4-chamber, what was the strain, it is -11, in the 2-chamber it was -9, the aplex was -13, the average was -11.6. This is definitely very low, something which is more than -17. So once we acquire these bullseye images, now there's a beautiful applications available, though it is a combination of physics and physiology, which we have learned physics few decades back, and the physiology that has been combined here to give us exactly what our myocardium is having a loaded with, what our myocardial is suffering. So here there are the different format to see the myocardial work in different way, like this is the time to pick format, this is a peak the post systolic indices, this is post systolic strain. So these are the different indices what we are looking at. Now we want to see how the myocardial work is affecting. Now event timing, select which source of event timing, like aortic valve closure, and we can say it is we just measure the automatically, and we just add our blood pressure. Suppose we believe that this patient's blood pressure is 120 by, we can just press 80, and he would be fortunate to have this pressure at these condition. So basically we want to see the myocardial work, and what work means, what physics says, work is force product distance, or means how much force we are giving to what distance. That is very important. That gives an idea about the work, and that has been taught by the physicist to us many decades back. So we want to do the same formula here, and we want to find out what is the myocardial work. So what we want the force, or we want the pressures, and we want the distance. So the pressure is what we have entered, that is 120 by 80, and the distance traversed by each myocardial fibers, each segments, that is 120 by 80, and the distance which is traveled by the strain, and with that ratio we can measure the complete myocardial work format. So here it is a peak systolic strain. We know that there will be end systolic strain, peak systolic strain. Usually the peak systolic strain is the one which is measured commonly, and that is what we have measured in our previous bullseye imaging. Against that, the myocardial work index is what we are measuring here. Here the minus 1000 to the plus 3500, like minus 1000 is a bluish coloration. Bluish discoloration means they are not performing very well. So that you can compare with the systolic strain here, that it is not very well performing, where all complete light bluish coloration is seen. So this is a green part is an average of this myocardial work, but these segments, the bluish segment is very bad. There is not a single red segment, so none of the fibers is working so well. Second is time to pick. This is the time to pick strain. Time to pick, that is the time taken. What is the time taken by from the aortic valve closure to the contractility, peak contractility. So from aortic valve closure to minus 200 to plus 200 means there may be some early closure, early contractilities, there can be some delayed contractility, and that gives some ideas about the dysynchrony or dyskinetic movements. So moreover we can see here is a delayed segment. Here is a normal natural segments. If you go plus 200, then it is more the delayed segment contractility, and if you see the bluish colorations, it is early contractility, and the green color is the one average we are looking for. So that gives a time to pick, and that gives some ideas about the dysynchrony. So again, this is the anterolateral aspect is looking the very dysynchrony, and this inferior aspect. So we can see that this patient has got some LV dysynchrony also. Now work efficiency, again the green has got 100% work efficiency, but red, as usual I said, this is a lightest green yellowish color, which shows the work efficiency is much lower as compared to the other segment. Now if we go further advanced, and this is what we were talking about, the strain to the left ventricular pressure. So this is completely PV loop analysis. Now we want to see that how this worked with that. Like suppose these two colors we were always looking for, these are not good functioning part, and you can see the difference between this ideal way of looking at the volume loop to the existence what the segment we have selected, it is very bad. So you can see that, and they are different format, and nomenclature is given according to the understanding. So this was global longitudinal strain, this is global work indices, third is global constructive work, fourth is global wasted work, fifth is global work efficiencies, and blood pressure. So all these data are very important. So these can guide you some better idea, like you say global work efficiency. it means that this heart myocardium is nearly as efficient as 90, and ideally it is about 93 to 95%. We believe it is a good. So it is not very bad, but the global work efficiency is about 90%. So the global longitudinal strain is -11. So these are the just layer understanding it, and that graph is plotted here. This is global average, and the patient, this is wasted work is this much. The basal lateral work, what we have selected, if we select different segments, it gives idea. And if we select this was the best probably looking segment in our previous format, and that it was totally red color with the maximum efficiency, and it was correlating very well with the PV lobe. So this was myocardial work can give us a better idea in terms of really what load heart is getting, whether the patient will help full by the CRRT or not, or patient is or the patient's work efficiency is less or high. Sometimes strain imaging may not exactly correlate with the work, but if it is correlated well with the pressure, as I said in the physics, it is the force is equal to it is a work is equal to force times distance. Force is the pressure. So once patient has high pressures, then this myocardial work again changes. So pressure is a right time pressure input is very important. Higher the pressures, patient can have the higher work required for the myocardial work. Most important thing is first put your pointer at the TV center, tricuspid valve center, which has been asked to do it. So first we have put our center of the tricuspid valve here. Then in another view, here we can also press our tricuspid valve center point. This is what the 2 point we have kept it. Now these two lines, the upper line should pass the cross against the perpendicular of the septum, which should pass from the middle of the septum, and another line which is passing should be passing to the base and then TV center. When we place, come to the third important images where you can say this is the left ventricle and this is the right ventricle, and our cross section should pass against the right ventricle free wall, what it is saying in just perpendicular to the septum and the free wall, and that you can see here our area is exactly passing. Now once we set it that, then they ask for this setting up the landmarks. We have set our landmarks like these. This is a tricuspid annulus free wall, septal, RV apex, free wall. This is a right ventricle posterior. Then they ask, we place the right ventricle anterior and right ventricle free wall. So these 3 points what they are asking in the short axis view, and in long axis view they ask us for the free, septal and the apex. Once we are fine, we just see the review, how the review is, and then you can do the running, and you can see the how the systolic and diastolic fashion it is moving. Most important thing is our complete image should be in the place. You can see here the apex is completely in line. If you want to change something, you can just change here by pressing it here and there, but here we don't want any changing. The thing is pretty well fashioned, very well. And then you can go to the dynamic part. You can see the different aspect of the right ventricle. Right ventricle different aspect means you are seeing the right ventricle with RVOT. So here you can see the right ventricle inflow, body, this is free wall and RVOT very clearly seen here, and this image is a very important image. And then after reviewing this, see here what we have gone through. Now we are going to the results, and on these results what is important is we can see the right ventricle end diastolic volume 139 is definitely high, and systolic volume, right ventricle ejection fraction, which is showing it is 24.6. Normal is never at 50% or 60%, is normal is 45%. Right ventricle and systolic volume is 35. RV base diastolic, RV base mid, RV TAPSE. Again, this is very important aspect. It measures the TAPSE like this, and that is exactly way of measuring the TAPSE, and that is coming 5 millimeter. So perfect measurement of the TAPSE by this technology. This is the fraction area changes. You can see very clear delineations of the area fraction area changing, stroke volume and ejection fractions, and then we can approve and you can exit it. Here you can see the end diastolic volume, and then you can see the end diastolic volume up and down going. So this is a beautiful way of looking at it, right ventricle in a quantifications way in the 4D aspects. So these are the four base area, where this is 4 chamber, short axis mid and short axis base, and then you can see you can correlate all the endocardial border which is going perfectly in line, and we can get this data. Now we can see that the excursion is 5 millimeter. It indicates that the basal segment is poorly contractile, and the RV FSC is also very low. So we can say that this patient is definitely having RV dysfunction. Now here it is again a a two-step process. Now first we want to make this cursor, put it in the center point as per it is indicated here. You can see here what they want us to do it. Then basically you have to make axis where it is passing through that. Now we go to the review. Now we can see that we can see it is almost very well. You can see that all the three axes, all the three views are showing the left atrium very well, and then we can measure the results straight away, and that gives an idea about exactly how the left atrium is looking at. The 4D data sets are now available with us, and we can definitely measure to go ahead with the 4D auto LVQ. Now once we just press button of the 4D auto LVQ, they ask us to do the align view, and best beauty about this software is it indicates us that now what you are supposed to do it. So it is almost aligned in the almost the same way, nearly the exactly what way we want to align the thing. It is almost nearly, the alignment is nearly perfect. Then we press end diastolic volume. In end diastolic volume, here what it suggests, either you have to press one button here and one note here, and you have to press one note here. So then it gives idea. Now when you are rotating this, you can see that the lower part imaging is also mobilizing because it is cutting in the short axis. This is a short axis view. The right upper one is at the apical level, which is the standard. The right mid is the middle part of the left ventricle, and then we are going down with the basal axis. And now when we are going up and down, it is now here which we press one, and second we press it here. So it gives some ideas. I almost nearly the same, and almost I would say that it is correlating very well with our endocardial border. We can just do here and there some extra point to make it completely normalize according to the left ventricle cavities. Then we go to the ESV. We want to measure end systolic volume. Again we press one marker here. We give one marker here, another marker here. Automatically again it measured end systolic volume. Again we need some correction here, and this corrections gives really what we want, and rest of the things we can just reduce here, and I think rest of the things are fine. And then we just press the volume waveform. In the volume waveform analysis, it gives us idea about the 17% ejection fractions, end diastolic volume, and systolic volume, cardiac output, and sphericity indexes. Now the sphericity index, more the less of a sphericity index it suggests it is more over in the globular pattern. And then you can see here, so here you can see the end diastolic volume and systolic volume and diastolic volume. It is just moving around, and you can just freeze it and you can run the frame, and you can see here the end diastolic volume on the graph. Now from here we can measure the LV mass by just pressing one button. You can see very nice LV mass that should suggest the 100 gram of end diastolic volume or end diastolic phase. Then we just add strain, 4D strain, and then we press the 4D strain results, and then we get the 4D strain results. Now so we can give ideas about a circumferential strain. If you get the area strain, you can get a radial strain, you can get a rotations and torsion. that is very important in some of the restrictive cardiomyopathies to differentiate sarcoidosis or amyloidosis and all other things. That gives ideas about the torsion and twist and torsion and the rotations. As far as my own experience since a couple of years back, when I am adding this beautiful software into my routine practice, just my hands and eyes have become blinded on the machine, and that makes a really addition. What I would say, it's a really not ultra addition, it is super addition to the pre-existing GE technologies. Thank you very much.